Hi, welcome back to Rest and Fun with Father and Son. I'm Father Matt, and this is Son.
Hi.
And this is our AEW Fyter Fest reactions. Like I said, we're just done watching Fyter Fest, and there's quite a bit to go through. Let's get into it. Before I start, they really crammed a lot into the show, I'll say that first, especially in the buy-in pre-show. 3 matches in the pre-show, which I thought was very impressive, especially that's just sort of the sort of teaser to get you to buy the pay-per-view, so I was really impressed with that. It started off with a triple threat tag team match. We had the Private Party SCU, which was Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky, and the Best Friends in the very first match. Obviously, Christopher Daniels is in SCU, but he was on the main card, so he didn't really feature in this. I thought this was a very good start. It was very good opener. I thought we had a nice double DDT slot, and there was a nice double suplex slot outside the ring, both outside the ring. There was a nice shooting star press from, I think it was, I'm thinking it was Aisha Cassidy, I think. I'm not too sure. I think it was, and I think about. In the end, it was the Best Friends who got the win, didn't they? They got the win with the Strong Zero. Yeah, like I say, very good opener. After that match, the lights went. After that match, there was a video, wasn't there, from the Dark Order. Obviously, they had a little bit of a spat at the last pay-per-view, Double or Nothing. The lights went out. The lights come up. Dark Order minions, as they sort of were around the ring. The lights went out, went up again, and then they were gone. So obviously, they're teasing that there's going to be a feud there in the future. Next, it was.
I think that's a bit like The Undertaker.
A little bit like The Undertaker, yep. Next, it was Ali versus Leva Bates, who's called is called the Librarian. There's 2 librarians. There's also Peter Avalon. He's another one. I think this storyline's a little bit. If they get rid of this going into TV, I think that they'll do all right. This is not hooking me, to be honest. Leva Bates, as we all know, was Blue Pants in NXT. Yes, so she's now in AEW. It was an okay match. It was the first ever women's singles match. Obviously, they had that was it 4-way? I think it was that Double or Nothing. I can't quite remember. I think it was a 4-way, wasn't it? So this is the first singles match. It was very nice. The ending was that Peter Avalon was interfering. I think he threw the book as a super kick from Ali, and then she got the win. So yeah, it was a nice little match. Then the final match was Michael Nakazawa versus Alex Jabali. Obviously, the story of the match was that Alex Jabali's had an injury, and he's just got over that. So there were some nice little spots. This was the first hardcore match, and there was some baby oil used, which was quite a funny spot. Nakazawa puts baby oil over himself to make him slippery, and then the person can't get like a grip on him and all that. It's quite funny. There was a gamepad used, which was quite funny because they were saying all night about I think next door there was like a gaming tournament, so they were saying about this being a gaming crowd, so they were using that for the whole show, to be fair. There was a bag, which you thought were thumbtacks. They weren't. I think they were gamepad buttons from the old sort of fight and stick gamepads. Then at the end, it was Nakazawa who actually won the match. So yeah, it was nice little build-up and the buy-in. Very nice to have 3 matches opposed to, and you've got to compare it to WWE. I'm afraid that's what it is. WWE is sort of the super daddy of wrestling, so you have to sort of compare them. When you look at WWE's pre-show, it's only really got 1 match out of it if you're lucky. On the NXT ones, you don't get really any matches. So on this, you got 3 matches for nothing, which is really good, and they were really good matches as well. So yeah, we go to the main show, which was in Daytona Beach in Florida. Obviously, the last one was in Las Vegas. Started off with SCU's Christopher Daniels versus Shima. Shima from the Strong Hearts. Obviously, they had a match at Double or Nothing. This is a sort of next step in that match. Again, this was a very good opening match. It was Shima who got the win. There was a lot of nice spots in this. Christopher Daniels is getting a bit on a bit. He's getting a bit old. He's been around for a little bit of time, but he's still got it for now, and he put in a really good match. Next, it was a triple threat women's match. Again, another good match. This was looking at this on paper, you think, oh, this is going to be the weak match, but actually it wasn't. It really delivered. It was Ryu, Nyla Rose versus Yuko Shikazawa. I think that's how you say it. Yep, very hard. I struggled in the last video to say the names, and I'll probably struggle in this one as well. So yeah, Sakazaki. Like I say, this was a very good match. There was obviously Ryu and I'll call her Yuki because it's easier to say. Yuki, they were sort of teaming up to beat on Nyla. Obviously Nyla's quite, she's a sort of behemoth woman, a bit like Nia Jax. She's got that power. She's quite a powerful woman. There were a couple of double spots where she picked 2 people up. But in the end, it was Ryu got a roll-up win on Nyla Rose. Like I say, very impressive match this, especially a triple threat match. I'm not really keen on triple threat matches. I kind of think it's kind of get one out of the ring, then you got 2, then that one comes in the ring and one goes out, and it's kind of like that. But this actually was not quite like that. It was sort of, the 2 beating on Nyla, and there were some spots where there wasn't 1 person in there, was 2 in there. But yeah, I think they've done it really, really well. Next, it was MJF versus Jungle Boy, who came in on Luchasaurus's shoulders, and obviously they're saying about them. There's a friendship now with Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. Jimmy Havoc, Jimmy Havoc from the UK, and then it was Hangman Adam Page. Again, another lovely fatal 4-way match. There were some really good spots. They were obviously selling that Hangman Page has had a knee Hangman Page has had a bit of a knee problem, so they was trying to sell that as well, with MJF come out and did a bit of a promo at the beginning as well, trying to get the heel heat. And I think he's really good on the mic. He's really good at getting that heel heat, and I think he done it really well. Like I say, it was a very good fatal 4-way match, and in the end, it was Hangman Page who got the Deadeye win. He used his finisher, which is called the Deadeye. He got the win, and now Hangman Page, he goes to what's it, All Out? Is it? I think it's All Out, isn't it? To face Chris Jericho in the first AEW Championship match. So that's one to look forward to. I think that's going to be a good match. Next was Cody Rhodes versus Darby Allin. At the time watching this, I thought this was going to be match of the night. As I finished watching it, I thought it was match of the night, but we'll get on to that. This was there's a big thing about AEW where there's time limits. This was a 20 time limit match. That's something WWE doesn't do. They don't do time limits. They do that in AEW, and they kept saying when it got to 10 minutes gone, or 10 minutes remaining. It's really good. I think it's an old school throwback. It was a really good match. Darby Allin came out with a body bag with Cody Rhodes' name on it. Let's say I really thought that Cody put in some work in this match. It really, really impressed me. I thought Cody Rhodes is quite a good wrestler. Coming out of this match, I thought he was a really good wrestler, and that doesn't take away from Darby Allin. I think he's really good. He's got potential there. But the end of the match was, what was it? Do you know what the end of the match was?
Cody got a chair shot.
Well, he did get a chair shot after the match, but the ending of the match was a time limit draw. So they got to the very end of the time limit. The time ran out, and that was a draw. Only for what Kai says, Shawn Spears came down, who used to be Ty Dillinger in NXT, and then in the main roster he left. Obviously he asked for his release. He's ended up in AEW. He came down with a chair and he cracked Cody over the head with a chair shot. To be fair, I've read on the internet that Cody didn't sustain that Cody Rhodes didn't sustain a concussion, but when you look at the chair shot, he didn't really hit him that hard, I don't think. I think he just sort of clipped him with it, and that's what caused him to bleed. He got a bit of a cut at the back of the head, and it started to bleed. Quite a bit of blood. That's the thing. AEW is not restricted like WWE. WWE does not do chair shots to the head anymore because of the concussion policy. I don't know if AEW has that same policy, or it's kind of like they do one every now and again, or what. But we'll see going forward with future pay-per-views and the TV show whether or not they're going to do this sort of thing. To be honest, I'm not really too bothered by chair shots to the head. I don't think it really adds too much to the story, but it is what it is. Obviously they're hinting now that Ty Dillinger will be against Cody Rhodes at some point in the future, maybe at their next pay-per-view, which is called Fight for the Fallen, which I think is a charity thing. Whether or not that's streaming, I don't know. We'll have to find out. That's in 2 weeks, so we'll find out. So the next match, saying that, like I said, I thought Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin was going to be match of the night. I thought that at the end, until we got this next match, which I consider. But then again, that last match as well, interjecting, it's so hard to pick. I thought this next match was probably potentially my favourite match of the night. It was the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega versus the Laredo Kid And the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix. This was, they had everything. Obviously the Young Bucks come out dressed up like Street Fighter, obviously saying about that game and thing. And I writ 4 words, which was high flying, high impact. And that really sums up this match. They did everything. This was just absolutely brilliant. This is the sort of matches that I have been looking for from the WWE. They haven't really produced this kind of match. They do every now and again in NXT. They get this quality. This was a quality match, and like I say, it was really, really good. It was Kenny Omega who actually got the win on the Laredo Kid. Like I say, I really like the Young Bucks. They really are really good, and they're going to be a jewel in the crown of AEW going forward. Like I say, there's not. I could go through everything in the match, but to be honest, my recommendation is if you could see this match, see this match. It is well worth the time. It was like just over 20 minutes, I think, because just before the win, they sort of said about the time limit, and then Kenny Omega got the win, so it's just over 20 minutes. And then the very last match was they sort of done a little thing where the announcer said about, oh, the lights will go out, and then when they come back, that's the end of the pay-per-view. Then when they come back on, we've got an unsanctioned match, which was who was in this match?
Jon Moxley.
And Joey Janella. Yes, Jon Moxley's first match in the AEW. Obviously, he was a surprise run-in, as we say, at Double or Nothing, and now he's having his very first match, or if you can call it really a match, unsanctioned. So I don't really care for that word unsanctioned. It's a bit pointless, to be honest. It's kind of like a way of getting a hardcore match, and hardcore is definitely what we got, wasn't it? There was a barbed wire chair. There was a normal chair. There was like 4 tables used. There was a barbed wire board, 2 barbed wire boards, and 2 bags of thumbtacks. That's just a little bit of the chaos that ensued. There was some, let's say, I think Jon Moxley, obviously, aka was Dean Ambrose in WWE. I think he came into this pay-per-view with something to prove, and I think he did prove it. I think he proved that now that he is not basically confined to the WWE. Now he's come out of the shadow of Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. I think he was kind of in their shadow. He's now stepped out of that. He has now said, I am now going to be a player in the AEW, and I think he's done it. The end bit made me cringe. I've stood on, as we call them, drawing pins in the UK. They call them thumbtacks in the USA. I've stood on them and they hurt. They had a little scene with Joey Janela's got his boots taken off by Jon Moxley as the thumbtacks are all in the ring, and he actually stomped his feet into the thumbtacks, and that made me cringe. Really did. The ending was obviously a double arm DDT. They're not calling it the Dirty Deeds. It's a double arm DDT onto the thumbtacks, and that's how he got the win. Like I say, it was a very impressive match. This could be match of the night. It's a toss-up between this and the Young Bucks. I think they're both equally as good. They're both worth watching. And yeah, Jon Moxley definitely proved that he's here in AEW to stay, and he's here to put in the work and put in some effort into these matches. And now that he is, I expect some really good things from him. But that wasn't it, was it? What happened at the very, very end of the pay-per-view?
Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega, yes, he came out and attacked Jon Moxley, didn't he? Obviously, when Jon Moxley done his run-in at Double or Nothing, he attacked Chris Jericho and then Kenny Omega, and he double-arm DDT'd him on the stack of chips. So Kenny Omega hasn't forgotten about that, has he? Pulled him to the sort of side bit of the stage where there's a swimming pool and that, and there was also a band set-up thing with the drum kit and electric guitar, and he attacked him with the drum kit and the electric guitar, or the drum sticks, shall I say, and the electric guitar. And them electric guitars, I know I've got a few myself, they are quite solid, so that must have hurt. Then the referees were trying to get Jon Moxley out of the arena. He sort of fought them off, only for then Kenny Omega to come out with a trash can. And at the end of it, he did a double arm DDT on the trash can. And obviously they've got a match at All Out at the end of August. That pay-per-view is going to be a good one. So yeah, that was AEW's Fyter Fest, and I got to admit, I was very, very impressed. Now people say there's a competition between the WWE. If AEW keeps putting on, and I'm not going to knock, actually, before I say, I'm not going to knock that there's going to be a competition. There is going to be this sort of fight between the WWE and AEW. I think it's going to come. I think it's only natural that them two are going to compete against each other. But to be honest, if AEW keeps putting on wrestling matches, and that's the key, wrestling matches like what they've done in the last 2 pay-per-views at Double or Nothing and this one here. Where's the competition? WWE, except for NXT, they're the ones that are putting on the good matches. WWE in the main show really isn't. This is the standard of match I want. This AEW pay-per-view. These are the standard of matches that WWE now have to do. And NXT do these type of matches. So I think the competition's mainly going to be between NXT and AEW. Really, to be fair. Like I said, this is a wrestling show. WWE is more of an entertainment show. But you know, they will step up. Obviously, the news came a couple of days ago that Paul Heyman is in charge of Raw now, and Eric Bischoff is now SmackDown. So we'll see what happens going forward with that. Is Vince still going to micromanage it? Probably. Is it still going to be the same? Is that going to make a difference to the shows, having Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff? Who knows? We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I'll give it some time and see, and we'll report back on whether or not we think that's working. But yeah, like I say, if you like this video, then please like, comment and subscribe. And say I'd like to get 20 subscribers before SummerSlam, which is in August, or 20 subscribers for All Out as well, that's in August. And we'll see you in the next video. So I'll say goodbye, and say goodbye, Kai.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Very good pay-per-view.